MPs are urging government to lay before Parliament for approval a policy on tax waivers so the nation does not continue losing money as a result of tax reliefs to various institutions. Parliament over the last 2 days approved more than 18 million Ghana cedis in tax waivers to a number of institutions, including the One District, One Factory initiative. Former Chairman of Parliament's Finance Committee, James Aveji, says there is a need for a harmonization on tax breaks for companies.
If you add the $3.1 million to the earlier amount which was waived by this House, which was $26.9 million, it gives you a figure of over $30 million. So, Speaker, if you convert $30.1 million into Ghana cedi, you are well over 180 million Ghana cedis. This is a huge amount which can do a lot for us as a country. And, Mr. Speaker, the Minister of Finance promised bringing a policy on waiver to this House. I have raised this issue a number of times. We don't know what is happening in regard to the policy. If we have that in the House and it's referred to the Finance Committee, we need a committee report to see what we can do. Because, Mr. Speaker, waiving over 180 million Ghana cedis for a project, if we have a policy on how to handle waivers, we will then know from day one. We don't even know whether all that we discuss here and we contribute on debates on the floor here is being taken on board by the Minister of Finance whenever they are doing their negotiations.
Joseph Opoku Gakpo, our parliamentary correspondent, joins me live for more. And Joseph, thanks so much for your time this evening. First of all, what is the absence of a tax waiver policy costing the nation? Hello, Joseph. We can hear you, so if you can unmute your audio, that'll be fine.
I think I just managed to fix that. And
all right. So I was asking earlier, the absence of the tax waiver policy, what is the cost in the nation?
A number of such losses have come up, which MPs have repeatedly complained about. So, for example, today, the House approved a tax waiver to the tune of $3.155 million in terms of waivers on VAT, NHIS, Get Fund, in order for the upgrading and rehabilitation of equipment in technical universities, polytechnics, as well as vocational institutions. So it is actually money that's coming from the Export and Import Bank of China, and it's actually a concessional loan. So this $3.15 million, that government could have raised that revenue on the states, is actually not getting. Not just that, yesterday Parliament approved a number of such tax waivers. And there was a tax waiver of about $2.2 million to a firm, LK International Company, another tax waiver to the tune of $48,000 to a firm called G's Fresh Point. Again, yes, Parliament approved a number of others, including a $131,000 tax waiver to Favor 01 Limited, and a number of others. And those are the concerns that MPs are raising, that when such tax waivers are given without any clear harmonization, then it's revenue to the state that's been lost, which is what we are concerned.
In the video that we just played, Honorable James Aveji mentioned that they have actually requested for that policy to be laid before Parliament. Do we know why it's taking so long for government to lay the policy?
It's very much unclear why it's taking this long, because it's a conversation that's been ongoing for well about 2 years now, including some of the budget reviews that were done when the finance minister came to Parliament and the House was actually requesting that this be done. The indication is that it's still a document that's in the drafting. It has to go through a number of stages from the level of the Finance Ministry, get clearance from the Attorney General's office, and then at the level of Cabinet before it's eventually laid in Parliament for approval. And all of that has to be done even after extensive consultation with various stakeholders in industry and the Ghana Revenue Authority and a number of others. That's how can we get the indication it's still not been done to date.
Right. Let's look at the broader picture. I mean, revenue generation. What will a tax waiver policy do for the country's economy?
And so, for example, in the conversation in Parliament, one of the major demands that MPs were making is that if, for example, they are granting tax waivers to companies, they would want to see the returns that would accrue to the state, even as the nation loses money. So that if the company is getting tax waiver, for example, under one district, one policy, in order to ensure the creation of employment, then the tracking needs to be done. And that's what the MPs think is actually missing, because then the companies get the tax waivers and its returns that they claim go into their pocket without the state eventually benefiting in terms of job creation and other opportunities and the general expansion of the economy. And so they say that if the policy is laid and clearly things are defined as to who deserves to benefit from tax waivers and all, or harmonize the processes so that it's either the state is gaining those amounts in taxes, or then other opportunities, including job opportunities, are being created for the young people so they don't stay unemployed.
Thanks so much for your time, Joseph, for that update from Parliament.